So next step is market research. Market research is what you're going to be doing to determine how you're going to price and, determine the size of how many cubic yards the equipment that you're using and how you're going to price that out. In order to become a big company within your area and actually grow and scale to a massive size company, however big you want to make it, hiring people, etc., you're going to have to know how to price your own equipment in order to do this, so that way one day you can learn yourself and then be able to train people along the way to take your spot. Now, it's okay to ask in groups like this. We want you to ask how to price jobs, how to bid jobs, what would you charge for this job, etc. But if you don't know what it costs for your disposal within your area, and if you're always just winging it, you're never going to be able to scale and really get to that point of owning a legitimate business to where one day you can step away and have people running this business for you. Now, to do some market research doesn't have to be complicated. The easiest way that I recommend is to call your top 5 competitors and determine how they charge and how big their vehicles are. Now, you can do this by either acting as if you are a customer inquiring about service, or you can just be honest with what you're trying to do. And a lot of them, most likely, more times than not, are going to be kind, nice, and actually help you get started. We even actually work with a couple companies within the area to where, they'll throw us jobs, or we'll help them out on their big jobs. It just kind of depends how the situation works. But I think instead of calling or viewing them as competitors, you need to view them as potential friends within the industry, because you never know how you're going to be able to help each other. So you can either call the top 5 competitors, again, acting as if you're a customer, or you can just be honest with what you're doing. You're going to determine how big their vehicles are and what they charge for the size of their vehicles. You're going to then determine the cubic yardage price after finding out their rates and size. So if they give you their size in cubic yards, you're going to take their full price per load, per full load, divide the cubic yards, the price of the full load divided by cubic yards, and that will equal your price per cubic yard. The cubic yard equation is length times width times height in feet, and then divide that by 27. So that's how you're going to figure out how big your equipment is. So if you have a 5 by 10 by 4 dump trailer like we do, in order to determine how many cubic yards it is, you would take 10 times 5 times 4, and then you would divide that number by 27. And for us, it comes out to about 7.7 cubic yards. We just round that up and call it an 8 cubic yard dump trailer. Then you're going to call your landfill and transfer stations. Some areas only have one landfill, like where we're at. Other places are going to have 1 to 2 landfills, depending on the size of the area, and maybe multiple transfer stations. You're going to need to call all of these, because you need to know what it costs you to dump normal and specific items. So for us, we only have one landfill. It's either $30 or $31, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of those. For yard debris, so only yard debris. And then for all other items, except for tires, we pay $37 a ton. It doesn't matter if it's household garbage, couches, mattresses, appliances, whatever. We pay $37 a ton to dispose of all of that. And it's very crucial that you know all of these, because some areas do charge you additionally for mattresses, appliances, and, pressure treated wood, whatever, depending on the city, the state, the county, and different cities and counties can differ even within the same state. For example, we're up here in northern Florida, and I know down in Miami, it is way different, and it costs a lot more to get rid of things. So it's important to call all of these and figure out what it is that it costs to dispose of these items. Because another reason for that, let's say you have multiple transfer stations. Let's say you're on one side of town and you're closer to one that's more expensive. Even though one is more expensive that you're closer to, it might save you money in the long run going to the more expensive one than traveling all the way across town just to save a few bucks, when you end up spending that same amount of money on time and labor and wear and tear on your vehicle. Once you determine all of this, you're going to determine how many cubic yards is in your vehicle or your equipment that you're using, and you're going to multiply that cubic yard rate by how many yards you have within your equipment that you're using, and then you're going to have an idea how to price for a full load. I recommend keeping it simple, providing 5 price points: your minimum price, your quarter load, half load, 3/4 load, and your full load pricing. Now, as you grow and get into bigger equipment, you can go to 9 pricing points, which is just more fractions pretty much, and even upwards of 13 pricing points, which is what some of the bigger companies use that use massive 26-foot box trucks. It really depends what type of equipment that you're using. If you want to stick with small or even large dump trailers, move into box trucks, or use dump trucks, which is what most of the big industry standard is or average is when it comes to college hunks, junk kings, and 1-800-GOT-JUNK. They all use dump trucks, 18 cubic yard dump trucks, when it comes to junk removal. So that's how you're going to figure out your market research, and that way you're going to figure out how to price your equipment, and you can start putting your information out there to start getting jobs. Next, we're going to go over business licenses and permits, so I'll see you on the next video.